Blog Talk Radio.
Animal here on December 2nd, 2015. Now, as usual, I read an article yesterday that I'm going to tell you about. It's by a recruiter this time named Elise Metzler. And it was advice for recruiters telling them not to be callous with job hunters. So I'm going to tell you about that, but first I want to make something clear. This is my version of what she said, not hers. Because, you know, if I don't make that clear, people often get mad at me, and I don't like that. I don't want that. Okay, so I'm going to start now. I want you to imagine something. Imagine you're a psychiatrist, and day in and day out, you meet people who are distressed. And it's often about silly, stupid little things. They just think it's a big deal. So after a while, you get desensitized. Sex addiction, drug addiction, suicidal thoughts, they're just part of your standard fare. So a client will come in all distressed, and your demeanor is like that of a waitress in a lunch counter who's been on the shift since 6 o'clock in the morning. You're not friendly. You're not human. You're strictly matter of fact. You know, what'll it be, buddy? Xanax or Seroquel? That's what you're like. The client feels that his life is coming to an end, or at least it's at a dead end. But for you, it's like you're on an assembly line and he's a screw that just needs to be tightened. You know, the guy feels like a jerk already. That's the client, because he's acting kind of crazy, right? And your lack of interest convinces him that he's all alone. Everybody thinks he's weird. Nobody wants to help him, okay? Now, imagine the job hunter. Do you think she's not feeling sensitive? Of course she is. But to you, the recruiter, you're back in your recruiter identity now, you're like that heartless psychiatrist. To you, she's just a widget. But for her life is at stake. So here's what you have to do. Adopt a routine that makes you seem nice, even when you're not, okay? This is how Elise says, acknowledge their bad nerves and make an effort to make them feel comfortable. She also says that you should always leave a conversation on a positive note. But you know what? That can be hard when you know you're going to reject somebody. So sometimes all you can do is shrug. And that's what we do a lot around here when the guest lets us down on Jerry. Jerry, what show is this?
This is the Recruiting Animal Show!
That was great.
It was one of my best of this fall holiday season. Yeah. I had one that was pretty good back in June.
Okay.
That I recall.
Okay, I got a question for you before we get going on the show, okay? I read another article, not the article I talked about, but I read another article about nanny agencies. Agencies that place nanny. They're getting a lot of...
We call them au pairs here. Au pair.
Au pairs. Whatever you want to call them, okay? They're getting a lot of requests for girls who aren't so good looking, because a lot of the celebrities like Ben Affleck and Gwen Stefani's husband, they left their wives for the nanny, okay? But I've never heard of any regular...
It's nice to have that as an option.
Pardon me?
That rich. I say it's nice to have that as an option. Not an option I would take, mind you, but just nice to have that as an option.
But I've never heard... Here's my point. Let me get to it, okay? I've never heard of any recruiters getting those kind of requests. Have you?
No.
And what would you do if you got one? We want a chemist, but we don't want her too pretty.
I would say no problem. Coming right up.
Okay.
What are you gonna do? They're gonna pay you $25,000. Make it happen.
Yeah, I guess. Okay.
Within the confines of
prejudice like that.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go to the guest. What's his name? Andrew Gadomski. Are you here?
Hey, how are you? I'm here.
Okay, I saw you come and then leave, and you got me kind of worried. Okay.
No. I got cut off. I was on a landline, but that doesn't mean it always works.
Okay. Okay. Did you bring a song, Andrew? Before we got to. Jerry and I chatted about those nannies. We got to get rolling. Did you have a song?
I'm a baseball fan, man, and I got to tell you,
don't give me that kind of crap. I got to tell you something. I knew this was going to happen, so I made a list of songs.
No. I'm going to do "Take Me Out to the Ball Game," brother. Let's do it.
Oh, you're setting yourself up for.
I'm totally serious.
Okay, let's go.
Wait. Ready?
What? Okay, I'm ready. You want to count or should I?
1, 2, 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd.
Maureen!
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jacks. I don't care if I ever get back.
'Cause it's root.
So let's root for the Phillies. If they don't win, it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out at the old ball game.
Maureen, side note, I enjoyed the Cincinnati Great American Ballpark.
When were you here? You came here and you didn't come see me. You didn't call me.
Oh,
well, that's no good.
You don't call.
My wife doesn't trust you.
Yeah, okay. Well, with good reason, okay?
It was good reason. Understandable.
Okay.
She doesn't trust anybody.
Let me do...
Next time.
Yeah.
Well, I got, Michael, I got to tell you, I like your opening question to Jerry because I've got the counter to that one. I've heard the opposite.
Well, people looking for good-looking nannies?
Mm-hmm. Well, not nannies. Well, you asked about good-looking people, and I've that's actually something that happens a lot down by where I live, by Philadelphia, in Atlantic City.
They're looking for what kind of people?
We have a lot of casinos, right? And so one of the recruiting issues that they have is the Borgata for a number of years recruited full-time help, but we were doing it in such a way where it was suspect of whether or not they were discriminating based on looks. And so the problem that they had to face was, they wanted people on the floor who were attractive and who were servers of the beverages going around the tables. And the way they had to solve that problem is they hired a modeling agency, and then they did a contingent labor play where none of those servers actually work for the casino. They work for a modeling agency to avoid any kind of discrimination practices.
Yeah, that was fascinating. Okay, let's move on.
I'm okay with that.
Okay. Your name is Andrew Gadomski, Gadomski. It's not one
Correct.
of those harder Polish names. It's not all consonants, right? You're lucky. It's easy to say. And so you started out in school wanting to be an engineer, but I think Maureen exposed you yesterday as not graduating as an engineer. Am I right about that?
God.
No. I bailed. I was into it. I was a chemie, and it was interesting. And then I had a great conversation with my grandfather.
Yeah.
And
okay. I don't want to hear about that. Okay.
Yeah, but I ended up doing logistics and marketing. That's
what your degree is in, logistics and marketing. And then you became a recruiter for a while. Then you moved into recruiting software. Now, even though you brag that you live in New Jersey on Ventnor Avenue, you run a consulting firm called Aspen Advisors, as if you're out there near Denver or wherever that is, right? Okay. And what you do is you supply real-time recruiting analytic data to giant corporations that hire thousands of people every year. And you also tell these giant companies how to improve their recruiting strategy. Am I right?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, great. Now, look, the thing is, you're dealing with recruiting managers, I imagine, and VPs and all the big shots, but this is a show for the little people, okay? And I want you to keep that in mind. When you're talking, say, how can the individual recruiter, benefit from what I'm saying? And here's, I'm going to set you up. Let's start off, we're going to talk about a hot issue. It just came up the other day. Jerry's interested, I know. Right ear interviewing. What do you think about that?
Well, I'm sorry, what kind of interviewing?
Jerry,
you've never even heard of it? He doesn't even know about it, and this guy's a heavy hitter.
I couldn't. No. Say
right
it again.
Ear interviewing.
Say it again. What kind of interviewing?
Right ear interviewing.
Oh, right ear interviewing.
Yeah.
I don't know what. I don't know what that is.
Will you tell us what it is?
Come on. Okay.
No.
I gotta hold on. We'll move on.
I think it's. I do. With all due respect, Animal, I think it's still a European deal.
Maybe, yeah. I think Ben Slater's out in England. Okay, listen. Is corporate recruiting
Is England in Europe? Just to clarify.
Yeah,
no.
okay.
They are?
Yeah, some Americans don't know. Anyway, that's the first big question. Is corporate recruiting effective? And I'm going to set it up a bit. Dr. John Sullivan says, I think he was quoting staffing.org, he says that 30 to 50% of hires don't work out in corporations. And Daniel Chait, the CEO from Greenhouse, he was on this show a little while ago, and he said that I'm going to come up with my version of what he said. He said corporate recruiting is a disorganized mess, and that's why he's cleaning up with his new software that guides people through the process. But I listened or read your interview with John Sumser, and you told him that your clients, the big corporations, are doing a pretty good job. How come your opinion is different from these other two smart guys?
Probably because we focus more on the waste and getting it out rather than bitching about what the hell's wrong. And I think there's a lot of wasted time and effort, and it's not because recruiters are bad. It's because they just don't watch for it. And so if you really pay attention to what you shouldn't be doing first, and then focus on what you should be doing, it's a much cleaner process, and you end up being more productive. That's probably why.
Be concrete? I don't know what you're talking about.
Sure. So as an example, here's you have an organization that goes ahead and does something like cut a deal with Indeed and LinkedIn to wrap every single job that they post on Taleo to automatically go out to their sites. And what that does is produce anywhere between 150 to 500 applicants automatically, with no discrimination whatsoever. And that produces a tremendous amount of work. So we'll go ahead and we'll say, why are you doing that? Oh, because we want to make sure that the job gets exposed. I'm like, yeah, what you just did is you just set yourself up for a recruiter to chase down 250 people that they got to say no to rather than having them focus on who they should talk to. Stop that. And when you start doing that for 10,000 hires a year, as an example, the recruiter's job changes a lot. And you start thinking differently about what they're going to spend their time doing and then moving people forward rather than clicking the dismiss button all day long.
I got two questions for you. First of all, if they're not putting those jobs out there, where should they put them out? Secondly, we keep hearing that you can't make your online application tedious to fill out. It has to be easy. You should just be able to press a button and send the company your LinkedIn profile. That seems to encourage all this kind of overkill. So, you want to talk about those two things?
Well, I think where you should post it is, you post a job because you need to attract the candidates. I mean, take all the stuff that you have to do it for compliance purposes, put that to the side for a second. But if you have to post a job, it's because you want to attract candidates, not because someone just told you to. You don't have the candidates in your data set, you don't know the people, you don't have the employee referrals, you don't have the internals, then go ahead, start attracting external talent using the channels that make sense, whatever that means. If you're going to go ahead and use a tool to do that, to find out where the hot spots are using job postings based on data, then do it. Use eQuest, use Broadbean.
I don't know what you're talking about. Give me an example.
Of where they should go. You want me to name a board? Go ahead and do the analysis. Do the analysis on
how?
We're going to hire people we're going to hire people for Procter & Gamble in Cincinnati in accounting. Meanwhile, we're posting that job nationally, and we're getting 80% of the people outside of the Cincinnati market. Stop posting it globally on Career Builder. Do the work. That's the first step. Then figure out, okay, now we've got the talent down to maybe 60 applicants in the Cincinnati marketplace, but they're not financially focused. They're just throwing stuff at us. Fine. Take it off the other sites and put it on a financially focused site if you don't have the people. Do that work.
Okay.
That's how you do it.
This sounds like only an idiot would have to be told that. Am I right or wrong?
Well, the thing is that most recruiters have been taken, over the last few years, most recruiters have been taken out of the loop on that kind of selection process and that kind of control.
So who's the person who's doing that?
You know, a lot of that's kind of done, believe it or not, with procurement or at a higher level with the VP of talent where they say wrap all the jobs or, you know, let's put it all on LinkedIn or, you know, there's a lot of people who go ahead and make enterprise decisions like that because they're cheap.
Just because someone has a title of VP doesn't mean they're well informed. They might even be smart, but they don't know what they're doing. And the poor little guys beneath them, they have to suffer for it. Really, that's what you're saying. That's what I'm hearing.
Well, I think what we've got is you know those guys who are selling those solutions are good. They're supposed to be putting in a lot of value, and you can put value on someone saying, hey, if you post with us and you do it this way, it'll be cheaper for you. That's great. But that doesn't necessarily, they don't necessarily look at the data behind it saying, hey, by the way, we just produced another 300,000 applicants on the year that we got to say no to. Well, do the work.
Okay.
Figure out, okay, how is this going to control applicant flow?
They're in their ivory tower on the 55th floor or something. They don't really know what's going on. That's the problem.
But if
it's not a democratic.
But if they get the data, they'll
process.
know what's going on. Yeah, but there's plenty of leaders who go get the data. They look at this myopically. They look at it business by business, region by region. They're making good decisions. They're saving a lot of money. They got 150 recruiters. They don't have 150 LinkedIn licenses. They got 10. They're doing it smart. There's plenty of those leaders.
Okay. What about that thing about mobile? About people are reading these ads on their tiny little phones and they can't do a lot of typing. They just want to press a button. Isn't that going to?
We have to assume that's going to take over. There's so much demand for it. The applicant tracking systems and the CRMs have a lot of pressure from the marketplace and from venture capital to put that technology into their system. A few years ago, I was in Chicago at the whatever conference they've got there in May, and I said, guys, just assume that they're going to swipe. Someone's going to swipe their thumb across their iPhone, and that's the equivalent of an application. So what are you going to do when 1,000 people are applying to your rec because they're doing it on their train ride to work and they can apply to 25 jobs in 10 minutes?
By that, are you suggesting that maybe it shouldn't be that easy? Maybe people ought to put in a little bit of work?
I think we need to get a little bit more self-selection out, Jerry. I think our jobs, put more stuff in the job posting that says to somebody, this is really for me or this is really not for me. That's a good portion of this. I don't have a lot of data to support that. I just find it to be a good practice.
Yep.
Okay?
I'm with you.
Okay. But, hey, if it's not for you, it's not for you. Be descriptive. And then, you know what? We're going to have to go through a bit of a process where, 1,000 people applied for the job. All right. Greenhouse if Greenhouse is going to be talking about this, where's their assessment tools that automatically mark some of those candidates that make this easier for the recruiters, that increases candidate care?
Like what?
Where's that tech?
Like what?
Oh, Taleo for years has had their ACE candidate technology that goes ahead and does like a star system of, hey, if they answer these basic questions, we're going to go ahead and automatically rank them. Do that work. Use that tool if you own that tool.
But you just said they're using their thumbprint. They're not answering questions.
Actually, he said it was a thumb swipe.
It was a thumb swipe.
We're not using fingerprint technology here.
Yeah, but you can go ahead and make somebody say, hey, look, take my LinkedIn profile and apply to this job. And then that automatically scans the resume and we say, hey, great, thanks for your resume. Would you mind answering a few questions so we need a little bit more? Mm-hmm. Answer 5 or 6 questions. They're in and out in 8 minutes. 8 minutes.
I like it.
Okay.
Get it done.
A couple of things I'll just mention we don't have to talk about. Speaking of Dr. John Sullivan, he also says that job hunters, they just read the job title and the city, and they apply. They don't read the job description. They're like recruiters. They take a quick scan, and they don't really look at any details, so they'll apply for anything that seems vaguely suitable. So I think it's going to be hard to weed them out unless you...
It is. I've been teaching at NYU for a number of years on this topic, and my students are the same way.
Adjunct professor. I don't even know what adjunct means. Okay.
Animal, you're talking over the guest. I missed what he said.
Yeah. I think they think that it's okay. You know, there's a lot of people who, when they're out of work or they're feeling desperate, or they want to go ahead and they want to feel active, they feel that spending 15 to 35 minutes on an application is good work. And we need to recruiters need to help. Recruiters need to take on the responsibility of unwinding that perception in the marketplace that filling out an application is a good use of time. It's not necessarily a good use of time. Be more selective. We just keep on telling people apply. We got to unwind that. Otherwise, people are going to keep on applying. It doesn't matter if it takes them 5 minutes, 30 minutes. They're just going to keep on doing it because it makes them feel like they're moving towards something. We have to enable those people.
Yeah, I think people are going to call you a Luddite, okay? And there was something else I was going to throw at you, but I forget what it is. Now, I'm going to come back to John Sumser. I won't be quoting that interview the whole time, but you said something there that shocked me. I want to make sure I understand. You've got a recruiting software called Pando, Pando. We'll get to a longer description of it later in the show, maybe. But you said to John that you can give people real-time analytics or data about the satisfaction level of candidates and hiring managers. I don't even know what that means and how you can do it moment to moment. Did I understand that correctly?
No, that's right. So what ends up happening is inside applicant tracking systems or CRM, any of the messaging that recruiters put out, they put in links to say, hey, how am I doing? You know, just like you would for any other customer satisfaction rating. And what ends up happening is a survey is then launched by the candidate or by the hiring manager, and then they're interacting and giving engagement on a real-time basis, and we upload that each day and reveal that back to the customer. So they can see, hey, today this many candidates told us how we're doing. This many hiring managers told us how we're doing in this region, that office, this function, whatever it is. We can do. That's actually pretty straightforward stuff.
Is it like when you do a search on Google, how do I fix my hard drive, and you go to Microsoft and it gives you some instructions, and then at the bottom it says, did this answer your question? Well, yes or no? Is that what you're talking about?
No. It's more of an in-depth survey. You know, it says, hey, you just got interviewed by us. Would you mind giving us some feedback on the interview?
Well, it's like when you call your ISP, Rogers.com, for instance, and you speak to the tech support, and they help you. You get an email in a few minutes, and it says, "What did you think of the person who helped you out?" And then they give you a bunch
there's a little bit of that. What's interesting about the tool is they can use it through their experience. So the hiring managers are coming back to the survey or the app and say, hey, I just went through my interview process. This is what I thought of how the recruiter did. This is what I thought of the candidates. The candidate's coming back after the interview and saying, this is how I thought of the interview process. Then they come back after the offer saying, man, your offer process stinks. Why am I negotiating like this? They're doing it as an app on their phone in real time. Now, we don't necessarily we collect the data in real time, Animal. That doesn't necessarily mean that we should present it in real time back to the recruiters. There's value in saying, this is how you did this week, this is how you did this month. Doing it every day becomes a little bit of an overkill.
Okay, so Jerry has a team of about 5 people. I don't know if that's correct anymore. Would it be worthwhile
Let's just say it is.
Would it be worthwhile for an operation that size to do this as well?
Yeah, I mean they could. I mean I think they can probably do it themselves just by using something that's a little, use Zoho or SurveyMonkey or anything like that. That's not hard to do. We're doing it for organizations that.
I'm moving on.
Yeah.
Recruiting without recruiters. Jeremy Allen Ames, and he's got a new Twitter address. I can't tell you what it is. The HCM guy. That's it, I think. Anyway, we had a long conversation with him about recruiting without recruiters. Can job matching software find the right people online, send them invitations to apply, then screen the applications, invite them to do like a higher view video interview where they see a bunch of questions on the screen and they answer them on video. And then if somebody likes it on the other side, they do a Skype interview with a hiring manager. No recruiters involved. Is that the future?
I think it will be the future for certain positions of volume, and that's being done in organizations and tested now with a lot more automation. The hiring manager's got to buy off on it, guys. I mean, that's the thing, is there's got to be confidence that this is the right thing for our business. And if you don't have a lot of confidence, you're not going to use that kind of tech.
Okay, I'll move on. I don't want to get involved. There's a guy listening to the show right now. His real name is Jacob. I started calling him Danish Jerry, okay, because he reminds me of Jerry, who's on the line right now. And he is waiting for the opportunity to criticize me. So I actually have a bunch of questions that he supplied, right? And one of them relates to what we were just talking about. It's called the Future-Proof Recruiter. He says, what do you consider the 5 to 10 most important attributes for being a future-proof recruiter? What personality traits, what capabilities, what mindset, so that recruiters don't get sidelined by this kind of automated system, fully automated recruiting system?
Off the top of my head, I would say judgment, problem solving, resilience, tenacity.
Yeah, those kind of high level things, they don't mean anything to me. Do you have like an example?
But they got to mean somebody. They got to mean somebody else. If you got a recruiter who doesn't have tenacity to work through things over and over again in
like
a future
Maureen
state of
does.
work, okay, that you're doing it time and time again, and you're gaining expertise in it, you're not going to be good. If you don't have resilience to do the work over and over again at long hours or through repetition, you're not going to make it in the future state of work. If you don't have good problem-solving skills that you can move and shake and then communicate back to your business, you're going to be dead. So those are three that are pretty valuable, and if you don't think that they're valuable, I'm pretty sure your listeners do.
Yeah, okay, thanks.
Don't you also have to have just a good, friendly, likable nature? I mean, do you think that recruiters, the old close you into a corner, don't take no for an answer, aggressive, I think that guy's gone.
Yeah,
so.
Service orientation's where it's at, Jerry. I mean, I think you got to go with, don't treat them, it's customer service. As soon as you start realizing this is not supply chain, okay, which is something I know about. It's not. This is service. Treat everybody with care and get it done, and don't just throw. Treat everybody like they're on the flight with you, and they're going from whatever journey it is, and you're going to treat everybody with respect, and you're going to take care of your passengers. If you don't start thinking about this like air travel, and you got to know who they are and how to do things with them and make them feel comfortable. Because the majority of those people are not going to probably fly with you again. But if they're your customers, they are. If they're your internal candidates, they are. Treat everybody with respect and service.
Next question. Thank you. Jerry, are you finished with that? Or Maureen, did you have
that
something?
was 4. Do we have more?
No,
I think number 5 is got to be a big bank account.
Yeah, I'm finished with that question.
Right.
Okay. Here's another Jacob question. Danish Jerry. Because, I want to get him off my back, okay? How do we get HR to understand recruiting? He said, this is the reason why 90% of all recruitment innovation comes from
90%.
vendors and not HR. And I remember seeing Bill Boorman also say that HR executives, they don't come for recruiting, so they're not really up to date on the latest innovations. Well, what's your answer to that? And everybody's always talking about how recruiting should report to marketing, but I saw Lori Rudiman say that's never going to happen. What is your take on it, Andrew Gadomski?
Well, we outsourced HR technology and recruiting technology 15 years ago to the vendors. So pulling it back inside is not going to be about developing tech. It's going to be hard to do that for smaller businesses. So I don't see us becoming, if we're going to become innovators, it's going to be on process. It's not going to be on tech. Hopefully that answers your question. As far as where recruiting needs to sit, recruiting primarily deals with people who are not employees. HR primarily deals with people who are employees. So the value game is so different. I think, this is not a one-size-fits-all. I call bullshit on all these people who are saying, it's got to report here or it's got to report there. Every organization has got to find a way to figure out how we're going to treat people who are probably not going to be our employees. Some of them are customers. Some of them are vendors. Some of them are stakeholders. Where is that going to report? If it's HR, it's HR. If it's finance, it's finance. If it's sales, it's sales. They're going to figure that out for themselves. Just have a customer service orientation when you do it.
Ooh, that's an answer I didn't expect. Good for you. Here's another. Almost finished with Danish Jerry. Okay, who has the most magnetic culture? That's my interpretation of his question. He says, who is the most inspirational company in their people culture where, just because of the way they do things and who they are, they don't have to spend a huge amount of effort in their recruiting efforts, and he wants it to be outside of the usual suspects, Google, Facebook, and Apple.
I'm going to go with a company that is really great on retention, right? So
We're not talking about retention, are we?
No.
We're talking about
Hold
recruiting.
On. Yeah, I get it.
Animal.
I get it, Animal. But listen.
Andrew, hold on a second. Animal, you're not used to having a guest who actually knows a little bit broader than you're used to. That's all I'm saying. This guy knows what's going on. Don't cut him off. Don't tell him that he's answering the wrong question. He knows what he's doing. Why don't you just listen to this dude?
Thanks, brother. This is who I would say. I would go to Southwest Airlines. Here's an organization that has a second generation, maybe third generation of business leaders where corporate culture is key, team engagement is key. Their turnover rate in most of their populations is less than 5%. So here's an organization that when they think about recruiting, they're thinking about who are we going to hire for the next 5 to 10 years. So it's a different – so I think they've figured out the next generation of recruiting, which is we hire people to retain them. And that's different than I think.
Okay, what about Southwest Airlines? He didn't put it on his list of usual suspects, but I would throw it in there. Everybody talks about Southwest. Give me another company if you have one. I'm not saying you can think of anything off the top of your head, and I won't hold it against you.
I mean, if you're going to go off the usual suspects like FedEx and Southwest and Google and Apple and those kinds of organizations, I got to tell you, I mean, the companies that have got the strong cultures, I think they're looking at recruiting different. Whole Foods is one that people have been talking more about. I haven't gotten in there with their data, but I really like what they're doing and trying to stay engaged with their employees.
Well, I thought they just went out of business for scamming people on weights and prices and stuff across the board.
They did, and their recruiting is fantastic.
Yeah, I would say that they're just more into their data. They've got a whole social media war room tracking how they're how they're engaging with people. I mean, companies that are doing stuff like that, Animal, I think they're just a step above. And it's only because maybe they're a step ahead, right?
Okay. That was Jimmy Durbin. It sounded like the great Jimmy Durbin.
Hey Jim, how you doing?
SM Headhunter. To us before about recruiting machinists. You told me yesterday that you architected. A word I hate, architected an RPO for CNC machinists in Philadelphia, one of the top machining businesses in the USA, and it's one of the hardest skilled trades with no digital to recruit for because they have no digital footprint for the candidate pool. And that was really hard. Now, that was in 2007. So I know Jim has had more recent experience. I want to tell you to tell us how you managed to recruit those guys, because I know they're hard. And if Jimmy can critique you if he wants to. Go ahead.
Is this a story from 8 years ago? Let me just make sure my head's in the right frame of mind.
Yeah, this is going back 8 years ago, which is like 100 years ago.
Come on, dude. Nobody wants to hear this. You want me to tell you how I recruited a guy for Pizza Hut franchise in 1988?
Ask Jim if it's that much different today.
Jim
that's a great question.
Great question, Maureen. Crap question, Animal.
Hold on. Ask Andrew. Is that a crap question?
I think the question is if I told the story and then Jim checked my math, if he's done it recently, I bet you they're probably going to be pretty much the same.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I bet you probably.
I'm intrigued.
Too. I was looking for one person and it didn't. I don't think it changed that much.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so we had to do 25, right? And that meant, old school research, getting, doing the cold calling list. We were calling into machining shops. We were going into conglomerates like Danaher, and going where we knew that they had.
Maureen is loving this.
I do it today. I'm here to
right now, Maureen.
I'm here to testify. They're telling the truth.
Right, we had to do the research. We would go to the vendors of the certain machines, and we would find out who their customers were, and we would go into those machine shops. And
Brilliant.
Then what we would be doing is now you're playing the gatekeeper game, because normally you got 40 people on a shop floor. No one's got a phone, right? That's still today, right? And we even went ahead and we got interns to go paper the parking lot. We were going old school.
I love it.
Right?
Okay, but I got a question for you. I got a question. You said you got in touch with the suppliers, the vendors, and got the names of their clients. How'd you do that? How'd you get them to give you their clients?
We just asked them. It wasn't that hard. You just say,
no.
Hey, look,
walk me through that, okay? Don't say it was easy.
So you say,
tell me how.
look, yeah, I'm calling on behalf of this company.
There you go.
Right? We use your machines. We're thinking about making some capital investments, and they were. I would ask the CEO, can I ask a bunch of questions to your suppliers about their machines? They would say yes. And then he would say yes. And I'd say, great, I'm going to go represent and get information from your suppliers. And then the suppliers would say, look, we want to talk to some people who are using your machines. Would you feel comfortable in us talking to those operators? And in many cases, they'd say, yeah. In some cases, they say, not as excited about that. Fine. The guys who gave it up, they gave it up.
Hold on a sec. Hold on.
And what percentage gave it up? What
Wait a
percentage
second.
gave it up?
Like half, Maureen.
No, let him answer. What percentage
I was
gave it
just
up?
getting ready to say it's great the animal's not demanding a specific number or percentage here, and here you are.
Here I am.
Dang
what
it,
percentage
Maureen.
gave it up?
How about
half?
some?
About half.
Some. That's
about
a good
half, but it's a small
There you
group,
go.
Maureen.
There
There's
you go.
only there's only a handful of producers of lathes and mills like that. So if there were 7 providers, we got 3 or 4, and you know what?
That works.
Then we would get leads on 20 customers each or 8 customers each, and off to the races, because there's 30 guys on the floor.
And what do you call that? What do you call that? What do you call that?
Just call that work. It's just work.
Just do the work. That's right.
That's right.
Wait a second. Can I get a question in here?
I might have to argue with Maureen there.
Wait a second, Jimmy. Wait a second.
Let's let Jim go through his counterpoint. Come on, Animal. This is where your show's been breaking down a lot the last couple of years. Let this play out. Jim.
I would say that you
ahead.
don't have to make those phone calls to the CEOs anymore, because you can search the job boards and LinkedIn to find who those suppliers are.
Oh yeah, I agree with that. I mean, yeah, I'm dating myself big time, right? Because this is
But
like
no,
08.
the idea is still the same. It's just a little faster now, but you still have to do the real work after the fact.
This is no different. This is no different than finding now radiologists or physical therapists or emergency room nurses. There's a whole slew of work out there in staffing where they just don't have the phone at their desk. They're not on LinkedIn. They're if they're on Facebook, they've locked it up. You got to do the work.
Let me ask you 2 questions now. First of all, when you called up the vendors, you had permission to use the name of your client in a false presentation? You said, yeah,
we told them what we were doing. We told them what we were doing.
And so you could go in, and they didn't follow up with your client and say, we had a guy calling us for information because they said you might be interested. I'm following up with you. I'm a sales rep from there. That didn't happen? You didn't get blowback?
No, we talked. Hold on. Let me be clear. We talked to the people they already bought from. We called their vendor and said, hey, we're trying to grow the business. Who else is your customer?
Okay, that's the answer. I don't know if that's enough vendors to call, but there's your answer. What about when you're actually calling? There's these guys on the floor in a noisy machine shop with no phone. How did you get through to them?
We called them at home.
How'd you get their home numbers?
Oh, you would say, hey, they would call us back. We would go to the gatekeeper. Gatekeeper would say, hold on, let me get the operator, see if I can get him off the floor. So you did that. And you give them a quick pitch, and you say, look, I know you're on the floor right now. I got a great opportunity over here. Would you mind if I gave you a shout at home later tonight, tomorrow? And they would say, yeah, give me a shout.
What about the What about the fourth person you called in that shop? Isn't the gatekeeper going to go crazy after a while? I'm not pulling.
You got to rotate. You got to rotate, man. You can't. You got to play the game. A lot of these shops are 24/7, or they got multiple shifts. So you call at 8 a.m. and then you call again at 7 p.m. Different gatekeepers. You got to strategize when you do this, and you have to have enough research to make it realistic that, hey, if I got to hire 25 people, if I got to hire 8 people, you know what? In this case, you're not getting 3 candidates or 8 candidates per hire. That's not going to happen. These are onesie, twosie, threesie kind of stuff. And so you know that you got to get, if I had to get 8 people in a quarter, maybe I got 12 in the door. And by the way, every single person who came in the door gave up 2 more in their shop.
Yeah.
That was the best way to get them.
Yeah.
Get them here, show them the shop, and say, hey, who else in your shop is like you? We want to hire you. Who do you want to bring along? And they would say, bring Jim. Jim's awesome. Great. Get him over here. That's how you recruit those people.
Jerry's groaning. Getting referrals is the hardest thing in the world, or one of them.
Dude, not in that kind of thing. Dude, these are machine shop dudes. They've got their buddies. They've got the dude that they go have the beers with after work. It's a tight crowd, man.
Oh, it's a very tight crowd.
Actual recruiting.
Jerry, you're right. You could go to the lead guy on the shift, and you could grab his whole team and say, bring your team. We'll give them all $2 more an hour. What do you think? And they get to pick the shift.
Yeah.
A nickel an hour.
And thanks, Jim. A nickel an hour. Because you know what? There's not a lot of demand. If you give them better benefits, and this shop that I was working with, you could lick off the floor in this machine shop. This place was like a lab. It was so clean. Getting people in the door there meant offer. If I knew if I could get them in the front door, I could give them an offer because they would say, I want to work here.
Okay. Next question. You did some work for Jobster.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's a long time ago.
Well, you gave me the information. I didn't get it from the ether, okay? So why did it fail? Why did Jobster fail? Maybe you don't want to say. Maybe you don't want to say.
I mean, I think they might have been. I mean, talent pipelining and doing communities and stuff is pretty good now. There's plenty of purchases there. Maybe they were early. They might have just been early, and people were still just kind of getting ATSs up and running. And why do I need another system? And I think they might have just been a little early.
They didn't use recruiting.com correctly. Everybody knows that.
Well, yeah, okay. I mean, we've got some other things going on there, but I think the concept. If I take the politics out, the concept of we're going to have a tool where you can monitor and blah 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 talent community. I think they might have just been a little early, and they played the venture card a little bit too much. They went after companies that were a little bit out there, and just folded up. I mean, there's a lot of venture companies that fold up.
Okay, next question. I saw recently, who was it? At one of the conferences, she said, she's a sorcerer. Her name will come back to me. I know she got married. That's why I can't remember her new name. Okay? Shannon. She said our internal, she loves, they've got an internal social media site, and she just loves it. Are they a big deal for big companies?
Some.
Okay.
It's pretty cool. I think some, and it's cultural. It's I don't know enough about it, to be fair.
Oh, so that's not something you're recommending when you go into. It's not one of the first things. Oh, you guys got to set this up. No, right?
If we do, we're usually looking at do you do document sharing yet, and do you how's your version control? Are you using other online tools to communicate and operate your business? If the short answer is yes, then they're more eligible for those types of communities. If they're not even sharing documents yet, I'm not going to start trying to get them to do instant messaging and communities to themselves. They have other fish to fry.
I got in a lot of trouble because I quoted 2 people. One of them was on this show. She said, what was it? I can't remember, Jerry. 40 or 60% of the big companies she goes into, the recruiters there think that sourcing is shuffling resumes or sorting resumes that come in from applications. And someone else said something, I can't remember what she said, but she got real mad at me when I quoted her. She said it at a conference, and I said, well, are these corporate recruiters dumb because they don't seem to know these basic things? I know I'm putting you in an awkward position, but what's the quality of corporate recruiters? I'm getting all kinds of different messages about it. We got Amy, who's a superstar on this show, Amy Miller, and yet we've got these other reports. She's a corporate recruiter with Microsoft. We got other reports of people who are clueless. So what's the general population of recruiters in big companies like? Can you tell us, or is that taboo for you?
It is analogous to the level of service and expertise that you would get from an insurance salesman. So some cases it's relatively commoditized, pretty rote, lower level, right, and it serves its function. And in some cases, you've got great customer service and lots of insight. This question is a crappy question, and the reason why is this is because it's a broad generalization question. There are companies that have got great recruiters in corporate, and there are companies that have just mediocre recruiters, and they get it done.
All they need? But is that all they need? Those companies, the ones that have mediocre recruiters, is that all they need, really, or is there a problem?
No, I think in some cases what we've got, especially the companies that are larger that have a lot of volume, what they need is they do need people who can make sure people are comfortable and they understand the process. And they're not really doing recruiting. I guess I would say they're doing staffing. They're working people through the applicant tracking process more than anything else. Mm-hmm. And so that's about understanding the brand and what's going on. Then there's another team inside that group that has to go get, right? And they're the recruiters, they're not the staffers. I think the larger companies that have more than, say, 100 people on the recruiting team, they've moved in a way where they have those hunters, and then they've got the people who are moving the paper, and they're just taking care of people.
Okay, what are the sizes of companies that have that big of a recruiting team? Is that fairly common?
Yeah, I mean, we're dealing with companies that are usually spending anywhere upwards to more than $25 million a year on staff for recruiting. That includes their costs, external costs. There's a lot of them. And the thing is some of them, especially in Europe, if they've outsourced to an RPO, they just, that's part of their team. I mean, they might not be employees, but they got 85 people who are working for Alexander Mann or whoever else in their offices, and they're part of the team.
Man, I love that kind of big business.
Yeah.
I had another question, and I forgot
it.
So
small-time, Maureen. I'm embarrassed.
Oh, geez. Okay, yeah. Does anybody here have a
Tiny
question who's
business.
on the line? I mean, no, Jimmy's the only one who's had a chance to talk. Lots of people are saying they like the show on Twitter, which is something different than usual. Does anybody have a question for the genius expert, Adam Gadomski?
Or you can call me Adam. That's good too.
Oh, I mean
Adam.
Andrew. I got to tell you, you know what? For some reason, your name reminds me of that terrorist, Adam Gadam, or whatever his name is, from California, and I'm always having to correct myself that it's Andrew.
I think there might be something sinister in the way that you're thinking, but
anyway, does anybody want to talk to Andrew, the expert for giant corporate recruiting operations? Okay, I got you. You're a guy. You go into these big companies, and it sounds like you completely rearrange their recruiting process. And I think you've given me some examples of that. Do you want to talk about what that means when you go in, or you can refer to any examples you want?
The question usually we get companies and they say, hey, come on in, take a look around, see if you can do things for us. Normally what they're asking for is...
Do they pay you for just coming and looking?
They do. We do audits and we do discovery sessions, and we'll do that on a short-term basis. It'll be like a month, but we'll come in and basically what they're asking is we're spending $30 million a year on recruiting, and what we want to know is our service level good? Can we do it better? And maybe can we do it cheaper, or do we need to invest more? That's really what they're asking. And more often than not, we're going to either increase their service output and their productivity by 20 to 30%, or we're going to remove about 20 to 30% of the waste and save them money. And that's what they're asking us really to do. they're asking us to move the $25 to $40 million needle a bit. And if we got a client now, and they're doing what we call 38%, service capacity. So they have a workflow. They made all these promises that they're supposed to be doing in the recruiting process map, right? They're doing it about 38% of the time. We're done with that project. They've increased it to 78%.
You want to give us just a few examples of what you mean by like re-engineering the process, or should we move on? Because I have another question I'd like to get to before the end of the show.
No, go ahead. Go ahead. I know we're coming up on the top of the hour. Go.
Yeah, okay. Well, you know what? You're welcome to come back if you want another time because you're a good talker. Anyway, so you said you set up a centralized sourcing team servicing, it's like a managed services department. You were servicing 9 separate executive search practices across North America. You were based where? In Philadelphia or someplace like that?
Philadelphia at that time, that's right.
Yeah, okay. So you said you want to tell us, the size of the team, how you organized the work, and what effect you had, what kind of effect you had on your client recruiters. I'd be
sure. So this was for executive search. The practices that we had were supply chain, engineering, marketing, legal, HR, and then we had business development, sales growth, those kinds of practices, right? So they were more functional. What we ended up having is we had a team here in Philadelphia. We threw them into a good environment, strong. We had great, cubicle environment, open space. We had 6 people here, and then we had 12 in India. And this is 10 years ago or more. This is 12 years ago. And what we would do is every single position that came in, and these were all retained positions, normally in excess of $175,000 on the base. And we didn't get too high, right? We weren't doing the $1 million deals, but we were doing most of the stuff was 175 to like 350 base U.S. Or that equivalent globally. We would go ahead, and this is 2000. This is like around 9/11, right? This is a long time ago. So what we would do is we would do the cold calling and the research, and we were doing the Boolean at that point, and we would be making up the lists, and we would do the initial calls. We would go ahead and make sure that those people were there. We were dropping the messages. We were getting the people set up, and then what the recruiters were doing then, instead of the recruiters doing that work, the recruiters now got started, rather than them tracking how many calls they made, they started having metrics on how many conversations are you having a day, how many interviews or screens are you doing a day, and we were able to take those recruiters who were working for the as associates, we were able to take them from hammering the phone all day long to pretty much they would have 8 to 12 in-depth conversations a day with prospective candidates, rather than banging on the phone, right, and wasting their time. So that meant that we had to so we then separated research from recruiting, and we trained our recruiters way different than our researchers, right? Because now our recruiters had to be able to talk, be able to assess, be able to write, and then be able to present those candidates back to the hiring managers. They weren't doing the gatekeeping stuff. Our team was doing that.
Okay. What about these guys in India? Guys in India, they have a terrible reputation here.
Well, we took them off the phone. We took them off the phone, so that was the key thing. When we had English-speaking people over there, out of Coimbatore, and we had, accent coaches and those kinds of things who were helping us. But we took them pretty much off the phone when they would talk. They would do stuff like bang on the phone and make sure that there was a voicemail there. They would prepare the lists, put them into the system for us, and they would do any kind of hunting on research. We would say, here are the 25 different Boolean strings. Someone would architect that here. I know you hate that verb. Someone would architect that over here, whether it be me or one of my research team. We would then throw it over to the guys in India. They would bang on it on a 24-hour clock. So we didn't have people who were working one shift. We had people who were working 3 shifts. So when I went,
I want some of this.
Right. So
sounds great. I want all of it. You still doing it? Man, I need all of it.
This is 10 years ago. Who's not doing this now?
Oh, man.
This is a long time ago. I mean, because then what would end up happening is I would throw out a search string to get hunted at 8 a.m. I would have 24 hours of work getting done on it, and when my recruiter showed up in the morning, they would have 10 people lined up and verified for them to call that day.
Or if you, like, had people in Australia do it, like they would do it 2 days before you needed it because they're a day ahead. I mean, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah,
God,
I mean,
but
you're
like
killing
they
me,
already
but
got it done when you asked them for it because it was yesterday when they started on it.
Oh shit, Jerry! Just think, what if they were on Mars?
Oh, wow!
Hey, man, get Marty McFly on this thing. We'll do it in 1955 for you.
Yeah, I had another question and I forgot it. The things just slip out of my mind, and it was a good one.
Like how to recruit.
It was a good one. No, well, one thing is, it sounds like his recruiters weren't doing any business development. They split everything up. Like the sourcing.
Oh yeah, When I was, as a principal in the business, I was banging on the phone and meeting and greeting and trying to do sales and trying to close up retainers and those kinds of things.
Why
that was a reserve thing.
If it was so good, why did you leave it?
I actually, when I was there, I was saying, God, is this how people are getting staffing done? I mean, this black box weirdness. There's so much waste here, and we're earning $75,000-$100,000 a clip, and we're making money, and that's great. I said, there's got to be a better way to do this, and I kind of had the tech bug, and said, you know what? Let's see if we can automate more of this, and that slipped me into corporate recruiting, and that started me on my way. I wanted to open up my own business, but I had to make a corporate stop in order to get a lot of credibility for people to buy me.
You know what? I remember my question is going to be the last one. What about the idea when you say you're getting these, huge volumes of resumes in response to an ad? What about shipping them over to India and having a team there look at every single resume and send an email response to every applicant?
People are going to say, well, why don't you just automate that? And then some people are going to say, well, how personal is that? I got one better. What we tend to do is, we have a retail bank that's done this. They're getting 150, 200 people to be a bank teller. What they do is they have other bank tellers go through the resumes. And they give them overtime, and they give them bonuses and stuff. Because then what ends up happening is we're asking people who are really good in the field, and there's thousands of them, and say, hey, look through these 100 resumes. We'll give you a gift card.
This is genius stuff.
And then you say, okay, I'll give you a gift card for $100. By the way, a hell of a lot cheaper than paying a recruiter to do it. And then say, who do you think looks good here? Oh, you know what? These people look good. They would work well on our team. Go to where your resources are. And if you're in a retail organization or a large-scale organization, you got 20,000 associates, stop trying to get your recruiters to do some of the work. Get some of those people to do the work.
So would you do that maybe 2-3 times? Let that go to maybe 2, 3, 4 different tellers?
Well, you rotate it. What we would do, and we did this for pharmaceutical sales as well, is you go to the people who, like, in these larger organizations, they have reward programs based on performance. Like the pharmaceutical person is the rep is part of the Emerald Club, or the bank teller is like employee of the month, or something like that. Those are the people that you give this work to, and you say, hey, you were just awarded employee of the month. Can you help us look through some resumes for our team? Because we trust you. You make it part of the reward mechanism and a retention mechanism. Now all of a sudden you're making that person smarter, you're rewarding them, and you're making them part of the culture. It's a totally different way of thinking.
I feel uplifted just by hearing this stuff. Animal, this is all I can take today.
Okay, no, we're finished. But
that's
Blake,
all I
can
can
you do the
handle.
after show, Jerry?
No, I'm overloaded with goodness right now.
No after show? Okay, so Blake Cannon, if you're on the line, you get to ask your question.
Oh, wait a minute. Hey, Blake.
Yeah, what's up?
I just got your email suggesting a meeting later.
Yeah. No, don't talk about that, okay?
I'll talk about whatever I want.
Blake Cannon, I'm giving you
a chance sooner works better for me.
You want to ask a question? Do you want to ask him a question?
My question was, I mean, you just got through saying he was a recruiting expert and all this stuff, and my question was, I just got through watching the Top Recruiter show, the Chapter 1 and 2, and I wanted to know what he thought about it.
I mean, look, Chris is doing really good work, right? And the reason why he's doing good work is he's given awareness through Top Recruiter about what you can do and what's going on in the market, and it gives us a place to talk about it. That's really cool, right? You know what? I think anything that's out there that gives our profession the ability to get recognition, do competition, question ourselves. That's
especially that bikini episode. Was that season 2?
Hey,
that was last year, man. That was
there's good people.
Well, you can't
there's
top
good
that.
people who contributed to that show. Ray Ann Thorne's one of my favorites, and
she wasn't on the last one though. Ray Ann's one of my favorite people too. But
are
you suggesting there's been a kind of a shake-up, Blake?
She just wasn't part of this past show.
You got your question answered. Is there anything else
to
say about
he was very good. That was a good answer. Yeah.
That was a good question, good answer. Why you get so snappy, Animal?
Okay, well, you just said you're not having an after show. I got to understand if no after show, right?
Well, then don't cut it off then.
Okay, well, sorry.
Yeah, why don't you shove the next 15 minutes up your...
But you too.
I wanted to ask Andrew Gadomski if he's got any parting words for the audience.
Start, so all the recruiters out there, if you're underappreciated, just start smiling and start asking for appreciation.
Can you send me an autographed 5x7 from my office?
That's right. That's what I want to do, Jerry.
Blake,
everybody knows it's hard.
This is about doing the work. What about that?
It needs to be a vintage one for your office.
Just know that the work that everyone's got all this work that they got to do. Think about working smart, right? What's the smart work you want to do each day? And if you think that the work that you're doing isn't smart, go tell somebody and say, this work we need to get rid of. How are we going to get rid of? Because it's wasting my time. It's wasting the candidate's time. And if you're not going to speak up, stop bitching.
So you're saying do some pushback.
Awareness first.
You see something,
right, Maureen?
say something.
Awareness first, and then when there's awareness and people aren't reacting, then you can start pushing back to how leadership and how management are handling things you've given them awareness to.
Okay.
Andrew Gadomski.
Hey, Jerry, wait, Jerry.
Hi.
Hey, Blake, you just want to have our phone call on the after show, and we'll just let Animal tape it, and then just grab random excerpts to prove his point over the next 10 years, putting clips all over the internet when you don't suspect it.
No, we just keep missing each other on cell phones, so I thought we could just...
Okay, I'll let you guys talk in the after show. Andrew Gadomski, I'd like you to come back sometime. In the meantime...
Sure.
Thanks, Andrew.
Good call.
This show might have been just what Animal needed to pull his show out of the trash can.
I was going to say, yeah, actually
just
had a
in the
good
nick
guess.
of time.
Good guess.
You want me to hang out, Jerry, or what?
Yeah, no, you got to go, man. You got to split.
No, I got my team here. They want to hear some of this. I got one of the best veterans in the business, and I got what's that?
You want to ask more
That's
questions? You want to stay on? I got lots more questions, but if Jerry wants to ask you something, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, that's a good call.
I was going to ask Blake how his wedding was.
Okay.
You know what? And I want to tie that in with, did you have any CNC operators there?
Yeah.
Running some Swiss lathes.
No, but, tell Andrew, just come back another time. I'll schedule you for the new year. We're happy to talk to you.
That sounds good, guys. Hey, thanks so much for the opportunity, guys. I appreciate it. You guys have a good day.
Yeah, you too, man.
Thank you.
Take care.
It was a great show.
You know, I think Animal needs to recognize when he's got somebody who's kind of...
Look, Jerry, I got to tell you something. I don't
want to hear it. This is my show.
Hey, you two. When do I get my show?
You had your show years ago. It was called The Animal Show. And then you let him take over, and you see where that got you.
Oh, my God.
What's your problem, Animal?
I got an email from someone who's a very tough critic. In fact, he's such a tough critic, he got pissed off at me and left my Facebook group. But he emailed me. Yeah. No.
Oh, my God.
He emailed me from an airport somewhere in the United States and said, I just want you to know that I've been enjoying the show a lot lately. You didn't listen to the couple, but there you go.
I'm just afraid some of your guests would be like interviewing just some dude off the street.
Well, Maureen's
I mean, you might as well just start going.
Calls. Don't worry, there's plenty
What's
coming.
That?
She's trying to get me set up with somebody who's just like off the street. But okay, go ahead. You do your show. I'll go have some lunch. Okay, you do your show. Just don't let.
What you gonna have for lunch?
You can stay.
This is our show. What are you having for lunch?
NYOB.
Yeah.
None.
NYOFB. Yeah.
Okay. You and Blake, go ahead.
Blake.
Hey, buddy.
How's life?
It's good.
I bet.
We can have this call offline.
Yeah, we're going to, believe me. But
it's not that
I need to
kind
spend
of
a few minutes making it seem like there was an after show, or else I might get fired.
Maureen in the house.
Hey, is Jim Durbin still here? He bailed. So it's just the three of us?
That was a good call, though.
So really all we need to do is get rid of Maureen and not be on tape and carry on. Maureen, I'm glad you're enjoying a good laugh today.
Tell me again why you didn't call me when you came to Cincinnati.
No, I just took my oldest son down there. We went and spent the night with a high school buddy.
Okay.
Who's now a banker down there at PNC Bank.
Okay.
We went down and sat in the PNC seats at a Reds Cubs game. It was great.
Okay. Well, you know, my house in Cincinnati is about 5 minutes from downtown from that stadium. You could have stayed there.
Instead of calling for an Uber lift back to his place, we could have just called you.
But seriously, my house in Mount Lookout's about 5 minutes from there.
I know it.
You could have stayed there anytime. So
it's on my short list to come camping at your house again.
Okay, no, not that house. The one in Cincinnati.
You've got you've got multiple houses.
I have a house in Cincinnati. It's about 5 minutes, along the river. You take the Columbia Parkway along the river from where the stadium is, and you could stay there.
Is that like a flop house when you two drunks drive back to the Mason, or what?
No, that's Morrow. You're talking about the house.
Maureen's hammered again. Looks like she's staying on the river house.
I have my city house in my
4-day bender on the river. Maureen. Sounds like
that's
fun.
My river rat house, Jerry.
What?
That's my river rat house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You ever go across the river?
Yeah.
And then turn right?
Yeah.
And then go down in the low country?
Mhm.
There's some interesting people down in there.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, there's interesting people just right across the river.
Well, let's do 30 seconds review of Andrew Gadomski.
Okay.
That guy's brilliant. Obviously, he's a very successful guy.
Yeah, it was a great show. Great show. Well spoken.
It's just so shocking to hear somebody as the guest on the Animal Show that knows something.
He knows somebody, and he can speak about it. That was the refreshing part.
And I can just picture Animal sitting there thinking, like he's so used to just jumping all over people's answers. He's like fighting himself to let the guy talk. The struggles he must face. What willpower. Seriously.
That's too funny.
All right, Blake, I'm calling you back on your 512 number.
Are you going to call me on the office line or the cell?
My office line or your cell?
Well, I'll just call you. Which one of is the number I sent you on the thing? Is it fine? I'll just call you on that one.
All right.
What number are you at?
Obviously, I'm
You're fifth
in the way here.
Get lost.
I'm going to hang up. You guys can talk here.
Then
I'll call
back. No, because we'll be on tape.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, and he digs this stuff up down the road. No, Jerry, one time you said, and then it's like, God.
I remember.
He's like the librarian of all recruiting internet stuff. You know?
Yeah, he can find stuff, can he? He's
the
like
Library of
the Library
Congress
of
for recruiting.
I
As
know.
if anybody ever needed one, yeah.
Yeah, I know. All right, I'll talk to you guys.
No, Blake, I'm calling you right now. Hang up, everybody.
Okay,
bye, everybody.
All right, bye.